Well, greetings. I am Dr. Paulina Van, and I am the host of Regala Healing, the book. And I'm a little, this is Monday morning, so let me start this all over again. I am Dr. Paulina Van. I am the author of Regala Healing, an evocative approach to self care, self understanding, and inner healing. And I want to welcome you who are joining from all over the world. And I'd love to know where you're joining from. So please put it in the chat if you might. As I said, this is a Monday morning. I'm usually here with you on Sunday morning, but this is a special edition of my show in honor of Black Poetry Day. So I want to give you a little history about African Americans and poetry. Before our West African ancestors were brought to the Americas as slaves, they had a long tradition of literature and storytelling. The slavery system suppressed education, yet a small number of slaves managed to learn to read and write in English and became pioneers in the African American literature. Judipur Hammond, a slave his entire life, was one who earned an education as, and is considered the first African American to publish or self publish. Today, October 17th, is Mr. Hammond's birthday. He was with us in the 1700s. Okay. Black Poetry Day was established to recognize his birthday and the contributions of other Black poets. I feel honored and blessed to be among this group. My journey as a poet began in 2019 in November when I spontaneously wrote my first poem, It Hurts. That poem is about my childhood traumas, yet the good news is that 99 healing poems followed, and I published my first book in September 2021. Today, I'm going to read some of my fan favorites. I have so much gratitude for the emails, the texts, letters, and phone calls I've received about Regala Healing poems and the impact they've had on so many lives and across the ages. When I asked readers to tell me their favorite poems among my many, I received so many responses. So for today's reading, I chose from among the submissions that you may not have heard on my regular Sunday show. So here we go. Let's begin just by taking some deep cleansing breaths and soothing breaths to settle into this place on a Monday morning, or it may be evening or night where you are around the world. Before we do that, I just wanted to show you a couple of soothing positions or gestures that you can do for yourself while you take your breaths. And we're only going to take 3 breaths this morning. So you can put your right hand over your left chest where your heart is, and put your left chest, your left hand on your belly. So right hand on your left chest, left hand on your belly. So we're going to breathe in through our nose slowly and hold, and out through your mouth. You might want to lower your gaze or close your eyes so you can focus. The second breath is in through your nose. Hold it, and out through your nose or mouth if that is easier. And then one last breath on your own, in through your nose, and then out through your nose or mouth. So that should kind of center you and bring you into focus for this day as we start a new week, or those of you ending this new week. So for those of you who have just joined us, I am Dr. Paulina Van. I'm author of Regala Healing, and I've just given a brief history of Black Poetry Day, and you have joined us just in time to hear me read some of my poems chosen by readers as their favorites. So I'm going to begin. Let me get started here. The first one, and I'll just give you an overview. The first one came to me November 2019, as I mentioned. The ones I'm going to read this morning are favorites, and they came to me between April and September 2020. Okay. So the first one is I Realize, and it's on page 21 in the physical book. And those of you who have the electronic book, it's a little earlier in the book. Okay, so this one was written on April 29th, 2020. And as I've mentioned to you along the way, I could be doing anything and the words would just come to me. So this morning I was getting ready for work. So it's like this. I realize my heart is whole. And I just want to share with you. Let me just share with you this. This artwork, I almost forgot to share it with you. This artwork was done by my nephew. He is just brilliant in technology. And he put the words of my poem into his program. And the program developed images from the words of my poem. So this is the image for I Realize. I realize my heart is whole. I realize I'm not what I've been told. I realize love is the seat of my soul. I realize my story has to be told. I realize I make a difference. It's with this essence I continue my journey, loving myself into eternity. Okay. So what do you realize in your life? Okay. The second one is entitled I See Myself. And that was written on April the 29th as well. That day I wrote 4 poems. And this one, I was discussing this poem, the poems I was writing that day with my husband. And he said, you know, what does it mean to you? Or what do you think it's saying? And I said, I see myself in a positive light. So all of those written that day, I was seeing myself in a positive light. So the next one I'm going to read is I See Myself, and it's on page 27 in my book. And the image for this one, the image, there it is. Okay. I see myself. I see myself in a positive light. I see myself not needing to fight. I see myself rising above. I see myself in deep love. I see myself as I couldn't imagine. I see myself filled with passion. So my question to you is, think about how you see yourself. What are you filled with? What are you surrounded with? Okay. All right. The next one is self-love. And this one I wrote on May the 3rd, 2020. And I was just cooking dinner and it came to me. That must have been a very good week. And it's on page 60 in the book. Okay, I'm getting there. Okay, here we go. Self-love. Self-love is paying attention. Self-love is without hesitation. Self-love is clarity of mind. Self-love is hard to find. Self-love is filled with passion. Self-love is unending compassion. Self-love is a positive inner voice. Self-love is a necessary choice. Self-love is an act of kindness. Self-love is not mindless. Self-love is without a judge. Self-love is a gentle nudge. Self-love is restful sleep. Self-love is what I keep. So I ask you, how do you love yourself? What is self-love to you? Okay. Just give yourself a hug. Yeah, start with that. The next one, I Began, came to me on May the 4th, 2020. And again that day, 4 of them came to me, and they tend to have the same theme. And so this one, I write a reflective note after each poem comes to me. And the note for this day says that I realize that I took the wall down from around my heart, and I'm beginning to operate in the world. I call it navigate the world with an open heart. So it's titled I Began, and it's on page 69 in my book. I began with courage. I began and wouldn't be discouraged. I began oblivious to the impact. I began and ended up on track. I began gently succumbing. I began being and becoming. So I'd like you to kind of think of a time that you began again. What was that time? What were the circumstances? What was the motivation? What sustained you to begin again? Okay, so the next one is called Choices. Okay, and it's interestingly enough, I didn't write a note about after this one yet. I believe it'll be self-explanatory. So it's on page 132 of my book, and I'm going to take a little sip of water. Okay. So it's Choices, and this one was written on June 29th. Choices. I get to choose how I live each day. I get to choose my yearning to pray. I get to choose what holds my attention. I get to choose to let go of perfection. I get to choose how bright my light shines. I get to choose my life's guidelines. I get to choose love and laughter. I get to choose the moments after. I get to choose to be kind. I get to choose the moments of forgiveness I find. I get to choose the ambience of my faith. I get to choose patience and wait. I get to choose taking setbacks in stride. I get to choose the Holy Spirit as my guide. So you've heard about my choices, okay? Forgiveness, what I give attention um, to be kind. So what are your choices in life? Or what choices should you be making right now so that you are happier, more fulfilled, or just living each day as the way you'd love to? Okay? All right. Great. The next one is I forgive myself. And although all of these have come through me, this is one of the ones that I read. Um, I think I've read the most often, besides being vulnerable. And this one was written on July the 7th of 2020. And it was on a day when I was learning about indigenous practices. So that's really interesting. So it's on page 144 and 145 of the physical book. And it's, I forgive myself. I forgive myself for absorbing words which made me feel less. I forgive myself for entering situations that created confrontations. I forgive myself for thinking I was unlovable. I forgive myself for not accepting I'm adorable. I forgive myself for hiding. I forgive myself for not deciding. I forgive myself for valuing superficial qualities. I forgive myself for ignoring realities. I forgive myself for consuming foods to fill emotional gaps. I forgive myself for ignoring resources under my cap. I forgive myself for caring more for others. I forgive myself for viewing self-care as a bother. I forgive myself after 6 decades plus. I forgive myself by honoring my evolving consciousness. For this, I trust. Let's take a nice deep breath. Those of you who have just joined us, I'm reading some of the fan favorites from my book on this day, Black Poetry Day, honoring Black poets. And so you've just joined as I've read several of the poems. So the next one that I'm going to read, and it's the favorite of all. This one, even when I give in-person readings, this one is one of the favorites. But I see we have a little more time, so I'm going to sneak another one in that's a favorite. And it's titled The Simple Things. And let me just take this off. I don't have a graphic for that. And the graphics have been developed by my nephew. For those of you who've just joined us, he wrote a program to develop them to go and visualize my words. But I'm going to read this one, and it's titled The Simple Things. And it's on page 94 and 95 of the book. And it goes, the simple things I embrace. The simple things show joy on my face. The simple things make my heart race. The simple things create lasting memories. The simple things cultivate remedies. The simple things create a groundswell of gratitude. The simple things enrich my attitude. The simple things get my attention. The simple things need no mention. The simple things are gestures. The simple things relieve pressures. The simple things evoke pleasure. The simple things are what I treasure. What simple things make you smile? What simple things bring warmth to your heart? What simple things make you smile for no reason? Just think about it. The last one that I will read today in honor of Black Poetry Day is titled Michael. Michael is my late younger brother. And this, I realized when I was preparing to read today, it was actually written on the first year anniversary of his death on May the 17th, 2020. So here I go, and I'm going to share it. And this is the most popular of all of the poems that have come to me, besides being vulnerable. But this one, of course, is very special, and it's titled Michael. And I want to show you him. This is a photo of him walking his daughter down the aisle. And this was a week after he recovered from being in a coma for 6 days. Look at that smile. Okay, so again, it's on page 100 and 101 of the physical book. My brother left a year ago. My brother didn't know he would go. My brother was so wise. My brother didn't despise. My brother had strength like a bull. My brother could be a handful. My brother sought love from interesting people. My brother had a heart as big as a steeple. My brother loved me unconditionally. My brother taught me to forgive seamlessly. My brother had less than a high school education. My brother could keep up with any conversation. My brother cooked unforgettable fried chicken. My brother and his jokes had you laughing and kicking. My brother was comfortable in his hood. My brother wouldn't leave his neighborhood. My brother kept family connected. My brother wanted me protected. My brother, I know you are in heaven. My brother, I still think about you 24/7. That's my brother. So I hope on this day honoring Black poetry that something that I've read has inspired you to read more of African American poetry. And also that something I read resonated with you to increase your self-care or just to love yourself just a little bit more. As I close, I want to encourage you to visit my site, regalahealing.com, and I'll put it in the banner so you can see. You can order my physical or ebook. Lastly, I ask you to join me every first and third Sunday right here on this platform, 9 a.m. Pacific time. Like and share this program. If it's been helpful for you, you can leave me comments because I do read them and will respond. Follow or subscribe so that you know when a new program is available. And I just want to thank you for joining me today on this Black Poetry Day. And as always, I wish you love and light until I see you again. Thank you.